lend me your ears and I'll sing along and try not to sing out of key. Whoa, baby! What's happening? Watching a video from Damian Michaels this morning. And it's about the different type of peoples. Certain people are this, certain people are that, blah, 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 blah. And so I have to ask him, just like I ask everybody else, what makes you believe that information? Whatever you're talking about NPC wise, what makes you think that shit's true? Any of you out there? You know, this is what I sort of keep talking about. And it's weird how it's like my presentation is funneling down, is focusing and you know, we're cutting the fat one way or another. We got Occam's razor in this bitch. And I just find it all so interesting. And to me, it's like I'd really like to be able to know what other people are doing, thinking, believing, but it's so hard to get people to acknowledge that, people to address it. Strange. Like I think I'd like Damian Michaels on a personal level, maybe. He seems like a guy I'd get along with to a degree. But I think a big problem with people like us is, you know, the whole alpha personality clash. Somebody in front of me has a personalized license plate. You want to talk about what a clown you are, and of course I can smell his cologne as I'm behind him. But if you have a personalized license plate, do you realize what like a doofus piece of shit you are? You pay extra money to have a license plate so you can be easily identified, and or it's with something that nobody knows what the fuck it means most of the time. Like sometimes you can tell what they're trying to say, but most of the time you have no idea what the fuck it is. Well, you're stupid. You're fucking stupid. Just thought I'd throw that out there. Person who's been on YouTube for 11 years and has no subscribers. Not an NPC there. I mean, it all comes down to the same shit. Like, for me, I don't know how anybody still identifies as a Christian. How many times does the church have to be caught raping children before you're like, hey, maybe this is bullshit? That, or it's a God you don't want to, you know, like, do you like the idea that your God is a big pedo fan? Does that work for you? And it's the same thing with Trump supporters, with the Trumpanzees. How are you still a Trumpanzee? It's all the same shit. And I'm trying to figure it out. I'm trying to figure out how, you know, like how to bridge the gaps. How do we figure this out? How do we, because I mean, it's just, like right now we have, oh, it's badass. Right now we literally have a president who is, you know, associated with, at the very least, the biggest pedophile of this generation. I for the life of me, can't figure out why Trump is still even in office. Let's see. Gotta be pretty narcissistic to think anyone who gives a fuck to watch what you have to say. I don't know what the fuck you're even talking about. Can't just toss them in a hole. That's not how it works. What punishment is that? And how does that prevent more? I think the reality is, I think my plan, my solution is the best one. Because it feeds multiple birds with one seed. It feeds the full horse. You said I had no subscribers. I'm not a creator. Yep, that's how that works. Even if you're not a creator, you don't have any subscribers. Nobody's ever read any of your comments anywhere and thought, hey, this guy's on point. Maybe I'll follow this guy. In 11 years, you haven't even accidentally gotten one. Make a show, put it in front of the, ew. Like, see, that's a person I can't relate to. I don't want to see anybody get thrown through a wood chipper. I don't think that's the solution, because that doesn't address the issue. The issue is that there are people out there who like to rape and kill. Until we acknowledge that, we can't fix the problem. But there are lots of people out there who thoroughly enjoy rape, torture. Like, there's rape porn. Rape porn is a really, unfortunately, it's a common thing. It's crazy how porn has gotten, like, just, it's all about just degrading women. It's really fucked up. Like, why would I ever want to fuck your face and have you puke on my shit? That's gross. That's fucking gross. But there are people out there who like all that shit. And we have to acknowledge it. And in some ways, I guess we have acknowledged it. I mean, wow. The porn industry is just that. The porn industry is the acknowledgement that there are people out there who like these fucked up things. And so why do we acknowledge it on that level, but that's it? All about power and not about sexuality with rich folks. Get bored, endless access to sex. You gotta hit the taboos. Yeah, but does that make sense to you? Like, do you think that's possible? Do you think you could be such a seasoned, you've had so much sex that you think it's like you can't just enjoy regular sex? You have to hurt people. You have to, you go in, like, you don't violate kids unless you have that in you. And it kind of reminds me of me as a kid, right? As a kid, my first girlfriend was in like 6th grade, and I definitely liked girls and all that. Shannon Shelley was a big time crush of mine in like 5th grade. But there was no sexuality involved in it. It's interesting. So I recently bought The Wonder Years, the complete series on DVD. And I watching it with my kids, and I was watching it last night with them. We were watching the first couple episodes. And what a fucking, cell phones have absolutely ruined things. The first couple episodes are about the kids, excited because they have sex ed class and they get to see what a naked chick looks like. They want the teacher to draw the chick in chalk because they're just so desperate to see what the naked body looks like. And nowadays kids are just, they have their phones. They want to see the worst of the worst. It's a simple phone away. It's a simple search away. Blackmailing each other into cool. Now, see, again, you're thinking about it the wrong way. There is no blackmail, like, along those lines. Sure, there's blackmail. Like, the thing that we don't understand is that you don't get to be in that high-ranking position without already being one of those people. Right? They know who you are. They wife watches West Wing, and the FBI files they have on everyone. I mean, they know more about you than you realize. And so I it's not like they're finding regular people and then blackmailing them. And I think that's how it is in the entertainment industry. I think that shit happens a lot. Somebody like me gets a phone call. Hey, this is Sony Music. We'd like you to fly out, first class, of course. Fly out to New York and discuss, your possible future with us. And you're just some dude who's like, barely making ends meet. You've been telling everybody you're gonna make it, and everybody's been like, "Yeah, it's time for you to sort of maybe, get it." And you're like, "No, I gotta do this." And then finally, this call comes in, and you're like, "Oh shit! Like I'm there. I'm making it." So you get on your first class plane to go to New York. There's a limo there to pick you up, and you're just like, "Holy shit!" The limo driver has been instructed to have your music in the limo and gush over you. So the limo driver's like, "Yeah, man, I've been listening to your stuff, man. I'm a big fan." And you're like, "Holy shit, I didn't know people in New York even knew about me. Oh man, yeah, me and my homies listen to you all the time. Really great stuff. I think you're really gonna like it." You show up, they bring you straight to the Sony, the Sony offices. And you walk in and the front desk, everybody's prepared for you. "Oh, Mr. Williams, yeah, good to see you." And you're like, "What the fuck? You know who I am?" "Yeah, oh, we've been hearing lots of good things about you. The intern over there really likes your stuff. And, from what I've heard, it's really great too. Hey, go on up." And you go on up, and on the way up, Dr. Dre's in the fucking elevator with you, or some shit. Somebody you love. Look at how they're trying to focus on the driver situation. Like, again, they don't want to talk about what I'm talking about. By the way, if you're watching, like, share, and sub. Help out. If you think pedophiles should die, like, share, and sub. Right? It's really simple. But and if you don't like what I'm saying, make sure you dislike it. You smash that dislike button really, really hard. I dislike what you're saying. Do that. Make sure you do that. But you go up and you're in this meeting, and it's a bunch of chosen. And there's somebody that you like. They it's a given. If they 50 Cent's there, or somebody like that's there, 50 Cent, they know you're probably gonna like at least a couple of their songs, whatever. So you go to the meeting, and they're like, "Yeah, we really like what you're doing." Everybody's gushing over you. You're starting to feel like the next big thing. And they go, "You know what? Why don't we go out tonight? We'll have a good time. We'll show you what it's like to be a rock star. And tomorrow we'll handle some business. It's late in the day anyway. You flew there, all that shit. It's late." So you're like, "Cool, I'm going to go party with Dr. Dre. That sounds great." You go out that night. You're having a good time. feeling a little overwhelmed. You know, you're in the VIP section. You're watching these guys pour fucking drinks on bitches and just be monumentous assholes. And you're kind of like, man, this is kind of weird. These guys are a lot worse than I thought, but I don't want to, whatever. I'm here. And the next thing you know, you wake up in the hotel room. And you're like, the fuck? Why am I in the hotel room? What's going on? What's going on? How long has my alarm been going off? And you look and holy shit, you're almost late, or you are late. Who knows? You were supposed to be at the offices at 10 in the morning and it's, 9:55 and you're in New York and, you jump together, you get everything, you run downstairs and you're like, hey, I need a car. And they're like, yeah, get yourself a car. And you're like, what do you mean? Like, what happened? I need the limo. And they're like, you got to get yourself a car, sir. So you think that's kind of weird? Like maybe they messed up or something. I don't know. It's kind of weird. So you get yourself an Uber. Uber takes you where you need to go. You show up to the offices, and you're like, hey, Susie, the front desk lady who was gushing over you yesterday, and now she's like, they're upstairs waiting for you. You're late, and you're like, yeah, I know. I not really. Must have been a really long night because anyway. Yeah, okay. So you go up to the offices, and again, this time it's just different. Everything colder, everything is darker, everything is lonelier. And you're like, what? It's really weird, but okay, whatever. You get up to the offices, the secretary again, please take a seat, sir. And you're like, what the fuck? Weren't you my best buddy yesterday? Please take a seat, sir. They'll be with you in a minute. You're late. So you finally get called back. And this time there's no stars in there. It's just a bunch of J's that you don't recognize. A bunch of chosen. And they say, all right, we have your contract for you. There's no pleasantries or anything. They're just like, here's your contract. Go ahead and sign it. And you're like, well, let me just read over it real quick. I just want to make sure I'm okay. And even though it's, contracts are notoriously fucked up for hiding shit, this is like right out in the open. You're going to get, 2 cents per every album, and you're locked into a 10 album contract and, all this other shit. And you're like, whoa. What do you mean? Like, I was doing better than this on my own. 2 cents per album. Like, what do you mean? I don't own any of my masters. I don't own any of my rights. I'm basically signing over everything to Sony that owns my rights and likenesses in perpetuity throughout the universe. Is that what this says? Are you guys serious? Like in perpetuity throughout the universe? What the fuck are you talking about? Like, oh yeah? Okay. Hit the button. And now you look over at the TV screen, big giant fucking plasma TV screen, and a video starts playing. And it's from last night. And it's you doing something horrible to a kid, or, some chick who's all bloody and passed out and dead, or like they have you on video doing something. And they're like, you really not going to sign this? I hate for this video to get out. And you're like, oh my God, yeah. And I think that happens to a lot of people. That's why so many people, like, it's strange to me. I was going through my repertoire, going through my notebook, if you will, in my emails. And, I have Damian Michaels commented on the thing I said. He always comments when I call him out. I would sure love for that dude to engage me in a conversation. If anybody knows Damian Michaels, I'd love to talk to him. If you're watching, like, share, sub. But I think Damian Michaels does a great job. I just think that he's misguided in some ways. But you end up signing this horrible contract that doesn't work out for you. And like I say, I'm going through my shit and I'm shocked by how many songs I have yet to record. It's shocking. You know, I have 300 songs or so yet to record. And I've always been fascinated by the fact that it doesn't seem like, oh, look, they shut the comments off. Not 20 minutes in, 100 plus watchers, and they've shut the comments off from my perspective. What do you think that is? Aaron Hutton, one of the last comments I have, says, you're, Y-O-U-R, not real, Y-O-U-R, an NPC. If you're going to talk shit to somebody that's smarter than you, at least get the yours right. Don't make it so easy for me to call you a stupid ass. But the last comment I can see is, dude, I'm so hyped for the circles today. That's the last comment that I can see. I know other comments have come through from your perspective, but from my perspective, the comments have been shut off. Why do you think that is? Have you ever heard of that before? You ever seen anyone else who when they go live, the comment section gets shut off? And you know what that does? That makes you not like me, because I'm not addressing your comments. If you're making real comments, you're not just some clown saying stupid shit, but you're saying real comments or you're asking real questions or whatever it may be. Well, if I don't see that come through and I don't answer you, you're just going to think I'm ignoring you. And so you're less answer your questions if I don't acknowledge your existence. It's so crazy. It's such a weird thing, and it's something I've never seen anybody else talk about. I've, you know, all the truther pages, all the other shit I've seen throughout my life, I've never seen one of them consistently talk about why did they shut the comments off. How does that even work? How does suddenly the comment section, from my perspective, stop coming through? I'd say I'd love to hear your answers, but I can't read them anyway. If somebody is going to respond to it, I can't see it. And I assume you guys can still see the comments, right? I don't know. This is where I'm supposed to reset so that, I can fix it. But I'm going to give up a feed with almost 200 viewers on it. Come on. Don't forget to get your free download, since all of you are here, wondering what the fuck songs I'm talking about. Go get your free download, www.the-bilderberg, BILDERBERG-group.com. It's free to listen to. It's free to download. It asks you how much you want to pay. You can put 0, or you can donate. We do appreciate all the donations, but you don't have to. All we ask is that you share it with someone. And it's songs about this kind of stuff. You're not going to find songs about my necklaces, my cars, my teeth. Look at my teethus. I have jewelry on my teeth. Never find those songs on our shit. If you're tired of the same old fucking music, then absolutely come check us out. We're the best thing you've never heard. Let's see, we give you a little, here's the amuse-bouche.
We can do the impossible. We do it every day. The things once thought illogical, we prove and prove away. The lines we saw as nautical are now redrawn in space. Evolution's in your optical. Just look at George Chevy Chase.
That's the amuse-bouche. It's just a little taste. Oh. So anyway, how is anybody still a Trump supporter? Why is Trump still in office? Shouldn't, in the situation that we're in, shouldn't he be removed until this shit is proven one way or another? Like, how does that make sense? Imagine if, you worked at Walmart or wherever, or you worked at McDonald's, you worked at some engineering company. It doesn't have to be a shit job. And come to find out, the manager is being accused in multiple cases of pedophilia, rape, all that shit. Do you think that manager keeps their job? If anything, the manager gets sent home and somebody else comes in because it's such a distraction to have your leader be that, you know, embroiled in some shit like that. So why is Trump still even in office, let alone not in prison? And I've always said, this has been my you can find videos going all the way back. Where, again, if you're watching, like, share, and sub, because it's a pretty good job today. It's not Trump that's the problem. The Donald Trumps of the world aren't the problem. It's the Trump supporters that are the problem. And it's always been the Trump supporters that are the problem. These people who are racist, homophobic, sexist, really got some awful shit going on. They don't want, these aren't things you can just openly say. You can't just openly be like, oh, I'm a racist. Oh, I'm a sexist. Oh, I'm homophobic. I mean, you can say those things, and they're taboo in some circles. Some circles you'll be championed, but, these are things that the average person doesn't just go around broadcasting. But if you say, I'm a Trump supporter, you got your red hat on, you're basically saying that. To someone like me, when I see your red hat, I assume you're a racist, sexist, homophobic piece of shit. But that's been adjusted. That's been changed. And now, not only are you racist, homophobic, sexist, you're a pedophile. I don't know how else we can see things. At the very, very least, Trump is guilty of covering for a pedophile and a network, basically. And that's the very least. Like, that is, you really do have to, it's really quite the stretch to assume that Trump is only guilty of association. What the fuck is it? Oh, only guilty of association. His shit, the comment where he's on Howard Stern, oh, look at that. That's totally normal. That's totally normal. Right? It's totally normal. The thing where he's on Howard Stern and they ask, well, do you have any age limits? And he says no. First he says no. Then he catches himself and goes, well, I don't want to get caught with a 12-year-old, like, what's his name? Like, that's not the response that you give to that. When Epstein is asked, did you and Donald Trump ever engage in any activities with any girls younger than 18? And he goes, I'm going to plead the 4th, 5th, and 14th Amendment. What? That's not the response you give to that. The response is, are you fucking kidding me? How dare you accuse me of something like that? Hell no. 56-year-old Trump talking about, well, I don't want to get caught with a 12-year-old. Look, if you're 56 and you're fucking 16, 17, 18, 19, 20-year-olds, that's gross. You're gross. There are limits here. And I just, for the life of me, I can't even imagine what you would enjoy being around. How could you even, like, from the physical standpoint, it's just disgusting. Especially when we're talking about young teens. 18, 19, 20, I mean, that's what Playboy has shown us our whole lives. That's what we're supposed to be looking at. But as a 46-year-old man, those girls look young to me. I can't engage in that. And there's the mental aspect of it. What the fuck am I going to talk to you about? What the fuck am I going to, what kind of great conversation am I going to have with somebody less than half my age, or more than half my age, sorry. It's just fucking stupid. I mean, I could easily have a conversation, but to have multiple conversations, a relationship with somebody that much younger than me, that's just fucking weird. We try to say, oh, well, 16 is the age of consent. Yeah, but who the fuck, 16 is the age of consent if you're 18 at the most, 19 maybe. But for anyone to normalize anything by saying, well, that 36-year-old man, she was 16, so she was able to consent. Who cares if she was able to, how that even works? How you can be 15 one day, the next day it's your birthday, so now you're 16, so that makes you legal? That is fucking insane. And for any adult to be anywhere, it just, we don't shame those people enough. Interestingly, it's the chosen who have benefited most. Black people are definitely, there's no equality when it comes to black people and people of color. The only people that have truly benefited from the PC movement are the chosen, are the Jays, are the people that we can't even say by name because we'll get in trouble. Don't want to get in trouble. And that to me that's racism, right? To me that's a prejudice. If you've created a situation where I can't talk about you, that's prejudice. Why would you be different than anybody else? Why would I be allowed to talk about everybody but you? That's you creating the separatist narrative. And for all of you out there in the Semitism bandwagon, you just don't know what that word means, I guess. Right? Because that word means policy or predisposition favorable to the Jays. Look it up. Look up Merriam-Webster. You want me to do it for you? Ooh, I do it all the time. I just don't want to stop the music. But the idea of policy or predisposition being favorable to any one group is unacceptable. No group, nobody, no black, white, green. Definitely, it's one thing when we talk about a race, but we're not even talking about a race. We're talking about an ideal, a belief structure. Jays aren't a race. It's a belief structure. You can't convert to a race. You can't just be like, I was born to black parents, but I've converted to Chinese because I adopted a whole bunch of stereotypes. So now that makes me Chinese. You don't get to do that. That's how you know they're not a race, because you can convert to it. But the idea that this group, this cult, it's a cult, let's be honest, it's a cult. That this cult has all this special treatment, as all this, has the policy and predisposition favorable to them. That's unacceptable. I don't understand why we accept this even a little bit. Look up Metitza Bopay. METZITZIA. New word B B apostrophe PEH. Look it up. Circumcision is already one of the worst things we do as a human species, as a group of people on this planet. The fact that we traumatize our children that way is just abhorrent. It's unbelievable. I'm so mad at myself for allowing that to be done to my children before I knew what was going on. But this is the worst of the worst behavior. This is the worst thing we do. Well, one of the worst.
Everything's weird. Resistance is strong. Judged by my peers, my sentence is long.
It's It's a nightmare that we're in this situation, that we're controlled by such an inferior cult. You know, they're not better than us. They don't run the show because they're smarter, because they're more capable, because they're physically superior. Look at that. It's right about there. They the reality of all of this is just so overwhelming. And this whole NPC thing, right? How many people do you know that fit into that category? Right? Like it's really kind of strange because you come across all these people all the time that you're like so screaming MAGA in your face or Trump 2020. Like the craziness in anyone suggesting Trump 2028. It's like you're saying we should change the fucking rules for this guy. What did this guy do to warrant that? And you would think it wouldn't be such a hard thing to accomplish, right? You wouldn't think that to get the Trump supporter to explain why are you still a Trump supporter? What makes you be a Trump supporter to begin with? Oh, it looks like they're shutting my feed down. For all those that were here, thank you. Appreciate it. We got all the way up to 200 today. And then suddenly, everybody was like, nah, this guy's still talking about the thing he was talking about. But I don't want to hear it anymore. Look at that. We are getting bombed today, boy. Wow. But it's like any of these things, any of these topics you want to talk about. Like it's really amazing how obvious it all is. You know, most people just don't. I don't know. I don't get it. This is my mission on this feed is to try to figure out what motivates people. You know, what makes people operate? Because to me, I see what we're given, and I think like, what the fuck is going on? Why would anybody support Trump? Yet you have all the Trump supporters. Why is anyone still a Christian? Yet all these people are Christian. You know, why is any Christians? I mean, they're basically identical. You know, they're the same story, the same sort of narrative. It just has different characters, different places, and whatnot. But it's it's basically the same. Just a bunch of be happy with what you have kind of shit. You know, that's sort of the running theme in both of those books is that us Goyim, we should be happy with what we have. Don't look at all those people at the top and be like, man, I wish I had something like that. No, be happy with what you have because once you die, then woohoo, the party starts. But the difference is the Christians, like the Muslims, think that Islam is the shit. Islam is the thing. You know, you should be a Muslim. Muslims are the ones that are going to be saved by God, blah, 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 blah. All that kind of shit. The Christians, you believe a completely different religion. The bad guys in your Bible, because Satan's not even the bad guy in the Bible. The cult is. The bad guys in your Bible, the group that kills your Jesus, that those are the Christian gods. You know, they killed the Christian God's only child, and those are somehow Christian God's favorite chosen people. How do you do that? How do you reconcile that? Maybe you've never even really gave it much thought. You just believed what you were told to believe, and this, that, and the other. I mean, I'm sure at some point as a kid you questioned things, and you got in trouble for it. Mom was like, we don't ask those questions. You just believe because the authority says so. And okay, Mom, okay. But I can't see the comments, obviously. But I really love to know what people think, like how that even works. How do you tell yourself that I'm going to belong to the group where I'm not even the top dog? Like our group isn't even the top dog in our own group. You guys believe a completely different cult, a completely different religion that literally hates you, that thinks your Jesus is a fraud, and Mary is boiling in a cauldron of semen in hell for all of eternity. Like, they really do believe some crazy shit. They believe that when the Messiah shows up, which is any day now, that they will all get 2,800 Gentile slaves. That's part of their belief structure, is that we are all slaves. Slaves for them to live their lives, work free, guilt free, anything. House is free, food is free, everything's free. And they believe that, again, all of us should be slaves. So how do you believe that those are the good guys? Like, how does that work? I wish I could understand it. Wish I could see the comments. I know nobody would be saying anything that matters anyway. Because instead of actually getting reasonable discussion, I get Team Jorge, Israel's Israel's software program that automates 30,000 bot profiles. Let's see, I know there's some of you that won't believe me, right? So this is important. So Naftali Bennett, at this point, is a former Israeli prime minister. In 2010, when this video was recorded, he was a future prime minister. He is an Israeli agent, a Mossad agent. He is high ranking and has been involved for a very long time. Remember, this guy is a future prime minister of Israel. And this is IsraelNationalNews.com.
Moetzet Yesh, in conjunction with My Israel, has arranged instruction day for wiki editors. The goal of the day is to teach people how to edit in Wikipedia, which is the #1 source of information today in the world. As a way of example, if someone searches the Gaza flotilla, we want to be there. We want to be the guys who influence what is written there, how it's written, and to ensure that it's balanced and Zionist in nature.
I came here to learn.
So to me, that is easily one of the most important video clips in existence, right? It's if you just outright say, well, did you know that Israel controls Wikipedia, the #1 source of information in the world? Did you know that Israel controls that? People will be like, oh, you can't say that. Those are anti-Semitic tropes. Don't you say that. Don't you say that. But here, I'm showing you the video where in 2010, so Wikipedia had already been around. It was at the time the #1 source of information in the world. So it was already well established. You have a future prime minister and Israeli agent bragging on Israeli TV about how Israel has sent representatives to the Wikipedia headquarters for what they call an instruction day. Imagine any of you out there, especially if you're a business owner, Let's just say you're a successful business owner. You do fucking anything. You sell this, you operate this website, you do whatever it is. You get yourself to the point where you're the #1 website in the world for whatever you do. And Israel can tell you how to do your job. How many people will just be okay with that? Oh, here, yeah, come tell me what to do. But it's an instruction day for the wiki editors. So the people who work at Wiki, whose job it is to edit. Now, I know a lot of you think that anyone can edit Wikipedia, and you're stupid. What can I say? You're stupid. Not every Wikipedia page can even be edited. A lot of the most important ones are locked, so nobody can even edit it, even if you have the fantasy that you can. But the pages that supposedly show an ability to be edited, all you do is you make your edit. The system then flags the edit. It gets sent to the deciders, and the deciders, figure out whether it has the pro-Zionist perspective like it's supposed to or not. And if your edit fits the narrative, they keep it, and if it doesn't, they delete it. If anybody could just edit Wikipedia at any time, all somebody would have to do is go to Wikipedia pages, click edit, click select all, click delete, and then save it. And Wikipedia would be in so much trouble. They would have to go back and re-upload all these, maybe type all this shit out. Like it would be so self-destructive if Wikipedia anybody could edit it at any time. It would just be such a bad business plan. But those editors that are there to belch, to keep the show going and keep the narrative balanced and Zionist, Israel had an instruction day for them. And so you think, like, what are they talking about, right? Because you're stupid. Again, you can't figure things out. So he then gives you an example of exactly what he's talking about. He says, for example, if somebody were to search the Gaza flotilla, which was a thing that was basically mirroring what's happening today, a group of ships trying to bring aid into Gaza was illegally boarded in international waters. A bunch of Americans were killed, execution style, or maybe they weren't. It wasn't all Americans that were killed. It was a group of different countries, but 9 people or something were killed, or 11 people were killed, and 6 of which they said were shot execution style, so looked like they were on their knees. And this Israel was just defending itself when they illegally boarded. So if they fought back, then that meant Israel had carte blanche to kill them. So he's flat out telling you guys that be there to influence what is said and how it's written to have a balanced Zionist perspective. Seriously, how else can I show you guys that Israel controls Wikipedia? What else can I prove? Like, what else would you need? I mean, it's in a now he's like other than something signed, sealed, presidential stamp of approval. I, Donald J. Trump, approve of this message. What do you require as a human being out here on your journey? What require you what you believe? Do you have stipulations? Do you have, a set of rules or goals or whatever it is that you go, okay, if you meet this criteria, then I'll believe what you're saying? You don't really know how else to How else do you take the video of the future prime minister talking about how they control this? How else do you take that? Oh, he's just kidding? Imagine if that was China. Imagine if it was North Korea or whoever. Insert your third example here. Russia. And they were basically, not basically, they were flat out bragging that they control where your information comes from, what your information says. They acknowledge that this is the main source, and then they acknowledge that they control it so that it has, I mean, even, he doesn't even say, like, he could have stopped at balanced. And so it has a balanced perspective, but he says balanced and Zionist. Are you unaware of what that means? Personally, I think Zionism is just one of those cover words, one of those things we're allowed to say. You know, you're allowed to say that you oppose Zionism. You're not allowed to say you oppose the cult altogether. Oh no, that's terrible. Don't say that. Don't say you oppose the whole cult. Don't even call it a cult. But you're allowed to say you oppose Zionism. You know, you're allowed to say free Palestine, which to me, like, I'm all about free Palestine. I just don't know what it means. You know, I don't know what that means. Are we talking about pre-2023 Palestine? Are we talking about pre-2006 Palestine, pre-1983 Palestine, pre-1967 Palestine, pre-1948 Palestine, pre-1919 Palestine? Like, what do you mean when you say free Palestine? I don't think you even understand that. And like, again, do you mean like, what, we put an oligarchy in charge, a religious monarch in charge, and now it becomes another one of the fucking crazy Muslim countries, or we put some sort of Christian monarchy in charge? What do you mean by free Palestine? You know, I think what you mean, you're just not allowed to say it, is end the J cult. Because how do you say free Palestine to the Syrians, to the Lebanese, to the Yemeni, to the Saudis, even though they're not really involved, but to the Iranians? It's almost like a racist term, right? Because you're saying free Palestine to cover all of those brown people in that region. You want all of them to be free. You just, you know, you don't know how to express it. You don't know what to say. But it is really this, like, almost whitewashing term, free Palestine. Well, they're not all Palestinians. And it's funny too, because they're not all Muslims. A lot of the Palestinians that have been killed are Christians. Where's the Christian response? Ouch. Mi scusi. You know, it's the cult. The cult is the real issue. It's the one thing we're not allowed to talk about. It's the one group we all know we're not supposed to talk about. I could sit here and talk about Christianity all day. I could talk bad about Muslims all day. By the way, if you're watching, like, share, and sub. Like, if you oppose pedophilia, if you oppose genocide, if you oppose us being slaves, then like and share. Help. Don't just be another NPC. And if you disagree with me, then dislike it. Smash that dislike button. Come on, guys, you know you can do it. But you don't realize the power in what you're doing by just being here. You could literally be anywhere else, doing anything else. You know, you could be one of those guys working on their car. You could be out doing yard work. You could be, you know, banging your spouse. You could be doing anything else in the world, and you're here. You're engaged in this particular conversation. That scares the fuck out of them. Because this is the one thing that you can't talk about. If I talked about Tartaria all day, as long as I didn't talk about the Who, I would have a huge page. I'd be allowed to have all kinds of viewers. My comment section wouldn't get shut off. Just so new people understand, there's a reason why I'm not answering any of the comments. It's because I can't see them. The last comment I can see is, dude, I'm so hyped for the circles today. That was, 20 minutes in. Usually they don't shut the comments off till around an hour or so, but today is 20 minutes in because we had too many viewers. There was probably a lot of people actually agreeing with what I was saying, and they don't want that. It's so simple. If there was no conspiracy, then why can't we talk about it? If there is no conspiracy, then we should be able to talk about whatever it is all day long. But like I say, I could have a video about bashing Christians, bashing Muslims, Tartaria, chemtrails, vaccines is, they like to shut that conversation down. But you can see why it's so directly associated. But, we all know you're allowed to talk about those things. Especially on your nothing little YouTube page. Who gives a shit what you're talking about on your dumbass? You're just some dumbass. Nobody cares about what you think. Yada, yada, yada. All that kind of shit, right? Except about this one group of people. One cult. And it's not like it's this fringe cult that you don't know anything about. No, it's the string pullers. It's Apex. It's a very prominent thing, especially in today's society. And yet we're just not supposed to talk about it. We're supposed to talk about what's going on in the world right now, but we're not supposed to mention this element, this one elephant in the room. We're not supposed to talk about that part. If there was a conspiracy, if there is no conspiracy, then they wouldn't care if we talked about it. And the thing is, the conspiracy is just so much deeper and more obvious than most people realize. The fact that when we're talking about Epstein, this whole Epstein thing, right? Epstein, you can't look into Epstein without the Maxwell Association. And then when you look up Maxwell, it starts with Robert Maxwell. Robert Maxwell, that narrative that we're given, not the truth, because we're not even given the truth. We're just given a narrative. The narrative around Robert Maxwell is so unfucking believably conspiracy. Like that's the only thing that's the only way you can explain it. The fact that this man was a British media mogul who never had his citizenship, who was disgraced at the time of his death, and was given the highest ranking Israeli military funeral somebody can be given. Prime ministers, generals, all these high-ranking government officials not only showed up to his funeral, but eulogized him and gave speeches and shit. The prime minister said at his funeral, "We cannot say today everything this man has done for Israel." It's something along those lines. I don't know the exact wording. But he says at the funeral, we can't say just how much this man has done for Israel. And Israel probably wouldn't exist in its today without Robert Maxwell. He is a direct contributor to Israel's success. The 67 slaughter massacre that they were doing, they wouldn't have been nearly successful without Robert Maxwell smuggling in airplane parts. It's Robert Maxwell, right? So Robert Maxwell then obviously, What do you guys call this? Now it's gonna keep doing the thing where I have to keep clicking try again, try again, try again. It's gonna keep doing the thing where I have to keep clicking try again, try again, try again. If I'm wrong, why is this suddenly happening on my feed? Make it make sense. Look at that. Numbers just tanked. We went from 90 to 30, just like that. Make it make sense. What just happened that made my feed tank? That all of a sudden my connection just went bad. I'm in the suburbs of Detroit. It's flat as shit here. I'm surrounded by cell phone towers. What is making my feed do this right now? Oh, now we're back up to 71. 71 viewers, 17 likes. Makes sense, doesn't it? So anyway, in 74, Epstein, who didn't graduate from college, was given the feed signal. It's going to do it again, and I have to click. We're going to just go ahead and get that out of the way. He was given that job by none other than Donald Barr. Future Attorney General William Barr. The guy who, now we're back down to 30. We went from 90 to 31 again. The guy who had the final decision on whether or not there was going to be said that he had seen footage that we hadn't seen, which is apparently the footage that was just recently shown to us. But that he had seen some footage, and based on that footage, it was conclusive that no investigation needed to be made. It was his father that gave Jeffrey Epstein his first job as this math teacher, of which he ends up getting dismissed 2 years later because of inappropriate relations with students. He was already that guy back then. And funny enough, one of his students, their father was the CEO of Bear Stearns, largest trading company, blah, blah, blah. He gave Epstein the job at Bear Stearns after being dismissed from his teacher position for fucking with students. One of his students' parents gives him a job at Bear Stearns. I'd hate to say you can't make this shit up, but I hate that saying. But you wouldn't make it up because you would say this is just too obvious. You can't make it so obvious or else people are going to start asking too many questions. But going back to Donald Barr, William Barr's Attorney General William Barr's father, the man who gave Epstein his first job. In 1973, he published a book about a society in space, an advanced version of us that colonized space, that was run by 7 oligarch families, and like the main purpose of the book is that the main point of the book is that they rape children. A bunch of oligarchs who rape children. And even the hero of the story rapes children at some point. Attorney General William Barr, the man who decided Epstein's death didn't need to be looked into, his father wrote a book about 7. Do you guys think that's just a mild coincidence, I guess? Do you not understand how just crazy that is? And it proves one of 2 of my points. You know, one being that is just obviously it's all connected. But two, the pedophile situation is way worse than people think it is. It's way worse than people understand it to be. And the best barometer for that is look at your average pedo hunter. How many, now there's suddenly 81 people again. Guys, if you're watching, like, share, and sub. Take 2 seconds to share this video on Facebook. Hit share and then share it on Facebook. And if you need to, if you're scared that people are going to get mad at you for what I'm saying, then share it with the title, "This Guy's Crazy." This guy's crazy. Somebody come here and tell him how he's crazy. Right there. That one. It'll come across. It always does. Forgot what I was talking about. Went off in the little direction. Got myself focused on these goddamn trails. Look, there it is. It's nothing, right? All you have to do is look up conspiracy theory, or all you have to look up is, like, seriously, look at how easy it is to prove chemtrails exist, okay? That it's way more than you think. Ready? Put chemtrails into the Google machine. The first that pops up is Wikipedia narrative that is chemtrail conspiracy theory. Huh, okay. Let's read the first 3 sentences, right? The chemtrail conspiracy theory is the erroneous belief that long-lasting condensation trails left in the sky by high-flying aircraft are actually chemtrails consisting of chemicals or biological agents sprayed for nefarious purposes undisclosed to the general public. First sentence. Second sentence. Believers in this conspiracy theory say that while normal contrails dissipate relatively quickly, they do, contrails that linger must contain additional substances. They must. That was the second sentence. Third sentence. Those who subscribe to this theory speculate that the purpose of the chemical release may be solar radiation management, weather modification, psychological manipulation, human population control, biological or chemical warfare, or testing of biological or chemical agents on the public, and that the trails are causing respiratory illnesses and other health problems. So by the third sentence, they're giving you examples of it. They're all in the blue. See that? Solar radiation management. Well, what is solar? What's the first thing they tell us? Solar radiation management is a group of large-scale approaches to reduce global warming by increasing the amount of sunlight that is reflected away from the Earth back into space. The most researched SRM method, solar radiation management method, is stratospheric aerosol injection. What's stratospheric aerosol injection? Well, that stratospheric aerosol injection is a proposed method of solar geoengineering or solar radiation modification to reduce global warming. This would introduce aerosols into the stratosphere to create a cooling effect via global dimming and increase albedo, which occurs naturally during volcanic winter. I don't know if I'm saying albedo right. I don't know. So that's aerosols, right? Back to the solar radiation management. Other approaches include marine cloud brightening. Well, what's marine cloud brightening? Marine cloud brightening, also known as marine cloud seeding or marine cloud engineering, may be a way to make stratocumulus clouds over the sea brighter. Well, how do you do that? What's this cloud seeding? First thing they mention. Cloud seeding is a type of weather modification that aims to change the amount of precipitation, mitigate hail, or disperse fog. The usual objective is to increase rain or snow, either for its own sake or to prevent precipitation from occurring in days afterward. So literally, the diagram shows them dropping shit out of a plane. And how many of you have ever heard of hail mitigation? And I know I've gone off on another direction here, but I'm just trying to prove the point that what you know is completely manufactured and completely manipulated. Because you heard them mention hail mitigation here, and I want to show you something. So here's a list of here's a bunch of different planes. This is the Beech 18. Used dry ice for cloud seeding in the early post-war era, so after the 40s, 50s. Here is the Lockheed 18 cloud seeding from Wagga Airport in 1958 in Australia. Here is the T-28A Trojan Rainmaker 1960 in the US. Here's Curtiss P-40 Rainmaker 1964. Here's the Curtiss P-40N Weather Modification Company cloud seeding. Hail Defense 1964. Have you ever heard or anything saying disperse a bunch of planes to get up there? We're going to and seed away so we don't get a hailstorm. Do you honestly believe that they had all this technology in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, and here we are in 2025, and they just don't have it? What do you think, they forgot it? How do you think that works? You think they figured out weather modification? They were like, hey, this works too well. Let's stop doing it. For me, I don't understand. Like, people talk about HARP and chemtrails and shit all the time, but they always do it from the death, doom, and gloom perspective. We should be trying to appeal to people, right? Hey, rich people, you know you don't have to lose your shit to a hurricane, right? You know you don't have to lose your shit to a forest fire, right? You know that they can use HARP and airplanes, aerosols, to destroy hurricanes, so they never have to hit the land. You know that, right? You know that they can move the jet stream with HARP and then seed like a motherfucker to make it rain over areas where there's a forest fire, right? You know they could put that shit out naturally, right? You know they have that technology, right? There's no conspiracy theory about it. I just read it to you. These are just proposed methods. Proposed methods. You really want to blow your mind? Go look up the history of dry ice. It's one of those weird stories where they you know, in 1830 first observed. They're not saying when it was actually created, how it was created. They won't tell you how it was created. They say that dry ice is created by condensing carbon dioxide, because carbon dioxide doesn't have a liquid form in our atmosphere. It goes directly from solid to gas. It sublimes from solid to gas. That's why, dry ice makes the clouds and shit, right? Apparently they make it by getting carbon dioxide and compressing it while chilling it to temperatures well below like a minus 65 degrees Celsius, minus 125 degrees Fahrenheit. Compressed to be able to make dry ice. So what were they using in the 1830s to create that super chilled environment to begin with? How were But then they continued and compressed it, chilled it to the point where they got dry ice. How does it happen? And it really went being something as commonplace as dry ice on Mars for you. You have no idea what the hell's going on. And when you get into it, the manipulated story that we're given is just straight up bullshit. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't answer questions. It creates more questions. And that's the narrative. That's the same people giving you that narrative are the ones who control your perception on Epstein. I've said it from the beginning. I'll say it again. The whole Epstein-Trump story is a distraction. Trump is one of the greatest distractions they've ever produced. Not just because of what he says, but I mean, he's a literal, like, cartoon bad guy. Right? He's a different color than everyone else. He's like a sinister orange. What the fuck is that? His big, giant, weird head. The way he talks. Everything about that man. His meth. How he does that meth thing all the time. I swear he looks like an old gay man. You know, old gay meth addict. Always doing that thing. And when he gets to talking, like when he forgets to keep the image correct, like you can tell when he walks, he has to concentrate on walking so that he walks, you know, masculine. But if you ever watch when he really gets talking and his hand starts going all over and his head starts shaking, he looks like an old gay guy. It's such a strange. You know, it's the only time I really see you smile like that, right? When you're stealing from me. Bitch. Yeah. Yeah, I forgot. My stuff is your stuff and your stuff is your stuff. Yeah, I know. Oh, thank you. You know, this whole Epstein thing is just a distraction. Trump is such a fucking, literally, like, when I see Trump, I see like he's like what happened to Ronald McDonald, right? When Ronald McDonald, he started out, he was like, I love kids, and I'm, you know, and I'm just a clown here for your enjoyment, for your amusement. Everybody, let's enjoy things. And then after years and years of being abused, and he you know, being on the streets, drinking all the time, you know, crack binges here and there, he ended up looking like Trump. Like, I could totally see Ronald McDonald ending up as Trump. And it's just, it's such a great distraction. Again, it's you know, who do you even know, like, really anything? When you ask people what are the good things he's done, they don't know. And the good things he's done are just like typical president things. It goes this way, it goes that way, blah blah. Like, it's just stupid shit. The people that think Trump is literally like sitting behind his desk, and he's like, Barbara, can you bring in the balance or the budget numbers, please? Yes, Mr. President. She brings in this stack of papers, and he puts on his green hat, his visor, you know, the clear green visor hat, and he gets out his adding machine, and he just types in the numbers, and then at the end of it, he looks at this. Okay, balanced budget is balanced. Good to go. Okay, Barbara, can you bring me in the foreign policy stuff that's going on today, please? Yes, Mr. President. Do you really think that he sits around all day just working, trying to manage the government, trying to figure this out, trying to figure that out, while also playing a shit ton of golf? Like, you're not that stupid, right? Do you guys honestly think politicians do a job that any of you couldn't do? Other than the public speaking, which I know is difficult for a lot of people, apparently. But, you know, we know they don't write their own shit, so they're just, and nowadays they don't even seemingly have to memorize it. Nowadays, most of the politicians just flat out read from whatever it is, and they just don't even care that you see that they're reading. But how many of you think politicians do a job you couldn't do, especially for the paycheck? The prestige, the paycheck, the free everything. The ass kiss that comes your way. Who couldn't do that job? Who thinks they couldn't do a senator's job, a mayor's job? What do you think the mayor does all day that really just, you're like, man, that guy is earning his fucking paycheck today, boy. He's out there hustling, busting ass, working hard. None of them. It's all just a ruse. Government, East Coast Hollywood, the government is East Coast Hollywood. The government, the news cycle, whatever. West Coast Hollywood is the entertainment side of things. And all of the actors who can't cut it, like who they can play one character. They can play the government character. They're willing to push whatever button. They're willing to sign whatever thing. They don't really give a shit as long as they and theirs get the good stuff. And, of course, they have the family connections and all that shit. Those are the people that get sent to East Coast Hollywood. The ones that can play multiple characters and shit, well, those go to West Coast Hollywood. But these people, like, literally, Congress goes to recess. How many of you at work go to recess? How many of you during the summer, they just go, okay, we're going to take 6 weeks off. You still get paid and everything. Just go enjoy your shit. Basically, they work for a week or two on camera, doing whatever, reading whatever scripts are put in front of them. And then they get another 3-4 weeks off. And that's literally how they work. Who couldn't do that job? Nadler, that piece of shit. Ugh, he's so gross. He's so gross. And it's interesting how all these guys have just sort of, they all fly under the radar nowadays. Not enough people are talking about them, but we fall for it. We're given this theater show. And we believe that it's the government. It's the real shit. It's my wife's watching West Wing right now. And she believes that's how it works. And I just look at it like it's such an idyllic, such a manufactured version. This is what you're supposed to think how the government works. But if you watch The West Wing and you see how they portray Bartlett and his whole cabinet and his wife and all that, compared to what we have now, there's just no fucking way. It's not even close. I mean, even this, they just walk faster than the presidents do now. Everything is so manufactured for that show to make it seem like it's the real good stuff. It's just insane. I cannot for the life of me understand. Well, I can. Other than my conspiracy perspective, I can't understand why Trump is even still at his position. He should have been removed by now. It should have been like, listen, this is just too much of a distraction. Even if you're innocent, you're right. We got to pull you out until we can figure all this out, because it's causing too much damage. It's too much of a distraction. And it really is. People aren't talking about anything else going on. They're literally doing all sorts of fucked up shit behind the scenes. And nobody's talking about it because everybody's talking about this Epstein shit. This supposed list that we have to trust them, the people who probably, who are all over that list. We have to trust them when they give it to us. Oh, it doesn't. Yeah, Trump's not on that list. Oh. It only took him fucking 6 years to put it together, but hey, that's okay. By the time it comes out, obviously. And at the same time, literally, I mean, you're not hearing shit about Palestine. They have absolutely shut down this conversation. And to me, when it comes to it all comes back to the same thing. You can't talk about Epstein without talking about it. Cut the head off the monster. We keep falling for the tentacles. They provide us with the tentacles and we fall for it. Oh, I like this tentacle. Oh, if I think, if I follow this tentacle and I hate it, well, then I'm a good person. Look at me. Look how good of a person I am. I don't support the pedophilia church. I'm somebody that questions this, that, or the other. It makes you feel good. That's why you go with it. We believe what we want to believe. We don't believe what's actually happening. We believe what we want to believe. That's it. You pick and choose. They present you with different narratives and you go, I like this one. I don't like that one. And you're arrogant. They have you all arrogant as fuck. And most people will be like really shitty about it. You know, I'm not arrogant. I'm not. They'll get mad if you call them arrogant. But they just don't realize it. You know, you've been a Christian for such a long time that you've learned to excuse your arrogance. You who believes in God, who according to the church, the universe is actually within the realm of possibility with God. So they had to do something to account for the narrative that they kept supplying, because we're supposed to live under a dome. We're supposed to live under an unbreakable firmament, according to the Christian bullshit. So it was kind of weird, right? Because the church is going, I know it says this, but we're also pushing the lie, the Hubble telescope, and all this other bullshit. So which one is it? And they had to come out and be like, space is within the realm of God, and there's no more purgatory either, by the way. We're going to get rid of purgatory, where all the unbaptized babies have been this whole time. And now I guess they're not there anymore. It's weird. It's weird, right? But they've tricked you, since birth. You've been forced into being a Christian since birth. You didn't choose to be a Christian. Even the born-again Christians, they were Christian at one point. They just wanted to live their lives a little bit, and it got out of hand, and they got in trouble for something, and then they were like, "Ooh, shit, I need to be good." So they became a born-again. But, 99% of you Christians out there, it's not like you researched Islam and you were like, let me see, which one makes more sense, Islam or Christianity? Which one of the three Abrahamic religions, Abraham, the father of the Jewish people, which one of the three makes more sense? The Islam, which at least Islam thinks that they're the top dogs, or Judaism, which I can't belong to anyway because I'm not born into it. But that's Abraham. And really, if you're honest, the Bible, the entire Bible is a Jewish fairy tale. All of the characters in the Bible are Jewish. There's no Christians in the Bible. The Gentiles are spoken of as a separate group, like the Gentiles over there. Those Gentiles, not us. But you didn't, again, this is stuff that you don't even, you know it in your head somewhere, but you don't even talk about it. And if someone like me talks about it, you attack me like I'm the one that's wrong here. Right? But you never looked. You never tried. You never checked. You weren't, you know this, but you don't know this kind of shit. But you as a person, you didn't study, Eastern philosophy and fucking Chinese religions and Tibetan shit and, finding little obscure religions and checking to see if those were the right ones. You didn't do all that. You didn't debunk all of those for sure. You didn't be like, oh, well, I found out how Islam isn't good because of this, and Native Americans were wrong because of this, and I went through all of them, and I came up with Christianity being right because it's just, I couldn't disprove it. It all just made so much sense. I had to go with it. No Christian ever said that. Not honestly, at least. There's literally no reason for you to be a Christian other than that's what you were told to do. You were told to be the second-class religion in your own religion. You've been taught to be second class your entire life. That you are a Gentile, that you are a slave. And you've accepted it. You'll to the point where you'll actually fight somebody. Like it's so funny how violent Christians can get as soon as you start challenging their beliefs. Like, dude, you getting mad and violent is not, it's not, at least not what you're told you're supposed to be. I mean, the Bible is very violent. But you're told you're supposed to be a turn the other cheek and accept it for what it is kind of person. But think about, like, why do you think you were told to be the second-class religion? Why were you looking at the way the world works right now? That there's a literal genocide happening right now, and it's being justified because those are God's chosen people. Do you not see why maybe, just maybe, you've been taught to be a second-class citizen, slave, to those same chosen people? And that's like your foundational religion that you'll die for? If that makes sense to you, hit like, share, and sub. If what I'm saying is crazy, then you better dislike the shit out of it. Just think about this. Like, it's funny too how Christians can't seem to have the conversation. If what they believe in is so true, why can't they talk about it? It's so weird. Isn't your thing supposed to be this good thing that gives you all this pride and lifts you up and makes you feel good, and you're supposed to find people like me and change our minds. You're supposed to bring us into the fold. You're charged with that shit. You know, that's what your cult tells you to do. And yet anytime you meet like the slightest resistance, you get mad. And I think you get mad because you know your shit's dumb and wrong, and you've been tricked into believing it, and you're like mad at yourself and mad at your parents and whatnot, but you don't know how to express it. So you take it out on people that go, yeah, well, you know, there's way too many children being raped by the church for me to get down with that. How dare you? How dare you say those things? You know, you're the one that says your God is everywhere at all times and everything's part of your God's plan, right? So by your own admission, your God has like that, I mean, even closer, but all the way up to that close and closer viewpoint of the children that are being raped. They're sitting there, you know, crying, hoping God, praying that God comes and helps them and saves them from the situation they're in. And your God's just like watching it, eating popcorn. Hey, Jesus, come check this one out. Yeah, that looks horrible. Too bad that prayer jar isn't filled up yet. As soon as that shit fills up, man, you're going to go down there and we're going to be busy up here, man. I tell you what, maybe like 30 or 40 of those people, good Christians down there, are going to get raptured. It's going to be crazy. Like, what the fuck is with your God? And this is where the Damian Michaels part comes in. Like, he's a believer in God. And it's why he's allowed to exist. He doesn't get censored. I mean, I think he gets throttled a bit. But he doesn't get censored like I do, because at the end of the day, he's still pushing spirituality and know thy creator and all this other bullshit. Like I always wonder, especially when it comes to truthers, like where does your truth detector stop working? Like, how does that work? How do you get to Christianity and go, well, not going to look at that one like I look at everything else? But see, this goes back to the arrogance I was talking about. You know, people will say it all the time. I'm sure I can't see the comments. From my perspective, they've been shut down. From your perspective, you probably can see them. I don't know. Probably saying all kinds of crazy, stupid shit, none of which is associated with what I'm talking about. But which should open your eyes, should make you see, like, why am I being attacked so much? The guy who thinks we should kill pedos and stop genocide, what is it that's motivating so many people to talk such crazy nonsense? But that arrogance that all of you have. And I know people say, oh, well, you're so arrogant, you don't believe what's being said. You think you know everything. And yeah, I definitely don't think I know everything. I think I'm really, really good at this part of things, and I've read a lot and I've educated myself a lot in the arena that they want us educated in. I know I've done more than you've done. I know it. I know it without a doubt. But you get people who say things like, the Bible is meant to be interpreted, and it's not supposed to be, lived word for word, which is not what the Bible says. The Bible doesn't say anything about you should interpret this stuff to think what you want to think. How would that even make sense? That would be like Wikipedia, being allowed to be, anybody can edit Wikipedia. It just doesn't make any sense. If the Bible is meant for interpretation, which parts? And how do you, arrogant you, know which parts? Which parts do you say are, okay, well, this part's God's word, and this is supposed to be taken word for word, but this part is supposed to be interpreted. And then who is to do the interpreting? My interpretation could be different than your interpretation. So how do we know which one's correct? And the thing is, people do this with everything. This is what you do with government, with history, with all of it. So many of you, the majority of you, don't believe the Oswald shot Kennedy story. And you shouldn't. It's fucking stupid. Like, the narrative we're given is fucking stupid. And that's really what it comes down to. You know that it's fucking stupid. Why would anybody believe it? 9/11, same thing. Large portion of you don't believe in the narrative that 9/11 provided. Or vaccines. When it comes to vaccines, there's a large portion of you that didn't run out and go get every single shot that they threw at you. You thought you knew better, right? You believe the system, and then there's some of you that don't believe any of those things, and then there's some of you that believe one or two of those things. Well, you don't believe Oswald shot Kennedy, but clearly 9/11 was, you believe whatever, right? And I just wonder, like, how did you get so arrogant? Right? How did you get to that point where you think you sitting on your couch, who doesn't do any research, who might happen to watch the, one specific news channel every day for an hour, or, you read a paper every once in a while, you think you are capable of deciphering, of figuring out which historical narratives are lies and which ones are true. To me, and it's the same thing with Christianity, right? The Bible says a bunch of shit. You arrogantly decide which things you're going to live by, which rules you're going to follow, which ones you're like. Every single one of you Christians watching me, you're going to go to hell. You knew you weren't supposed to have sex before marriage, but you did it. You should know that you're not supposed to have sex for anything other than procreation purposes, but you didn't. You had lots of sex. And there are some of you that are virgins, but it's not by choice. So you can't claim any sort of nobility there. If you would have been given the option, you would have taken it. Just because you didn't pay for a prostitute doesn't mean you're any better. You just didn't get laid. No girl ever tried to give it to you and you were like, no, thank you. That doesn't happen. But you've all decided that not only are you going to break this rule, you're going to use this very vague loophole that says as long as you accept Jesus as your savior, then you'll still go to heaven, which it doesn't really say that anywhere. It says that if you accept Jesus as your savior, then you'll live forever. But that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be in heaven now, does it? Even though that whole thing, heaven and hell, is just fucking stupid. It's so fucking stupid. It's so stupid that other religions have similar concepts and you think those religions are stupid. But for some reason, you arrogantly think that your Christianity is the right one. See, it's everywhere. That arrogance is everywhere. Full circle here. What made you decide that you were going to be a Christian? I'm going to go out on a limb and say 99% of you are Christians because your parents were Christians. You were raised in that environment, and even though you've questioned it for a long time, you've been brainwashed with the scary part, so you sort of just in case it. Plus, you don't want to upset your mom and dad, so you just still keep chugging along like you're a good Christian. When you're not. You have tattoos. How many of you have tattoos? You lose. No tattoos. Sorry. That's not allowed. That's desecration of your body. That's a mutilation of sorts. Even though, the circumcision thing keeps us all safe, because as long as they keep circumcising and then they circumcise us, the slaves, God won't destroy the earth again. God's real big on the circumcision. It's just such insanity. It literally is. It's so fucking crazy that, like, the way that you look at Muslims who mutilate little girls, you see that rightfully, right? You're like, yeah, that's fucking horrible, which it absolutely is. But then you don't see it as just as horrible that we do a similar thing to little boys? Over some biblical bullshit? That literally doesn't even include us. It's not even about us. Abraham circumcised all of his slaves. So that's the symbolic nature of it. We are the slaves. We are marking ourselves as slaves to the Abrahams. And I mean, this is where we get into the biblical stuff that none of you Christians ever seem to, one, even know about, but two, let alone even want to talk about. You don't want to talk about it, but you can't, because you don't know it. So why would you belong to the group? Why would you say that you belong to this one group and you're going to overlook all of their horrible shit, because you want the rewards that this group provides or promises after you die? Like, what is it that motivated you to accept that deal? Okay, I won't look at this. I won't call out that. I'll keep my head down. I won't ask questions, because you're saying when I die, the real party starts. I get to go meet Jimi Hendrix, right? Can you imagine how shitty it would be to be Jimi Hendrix up in heaven? He'd have to have, like, there would be people that would have wanted to go to heaven so then they could be like soul guards, bodyguards. Because otherwise Hendrix is just going to be stuck up there all day long, talking to other fucking people. Oh, I really liked Foxy Lady, man. Song got me through my childhood, man. The line to meet Jimi Hendrix would be forever, since his music lives on forever. So every day there are people dying who are Jimi Hendrix fans. Is he stuck fucking hanging out with them? It's such a dumb concept. It's really, really embarrassingly stupid. But it's this concept that you have willingly accepted And by doing so, you then ignore all the pedophilia, all the incredible opulence that they have while not helping the homeless situation or even just the less fortunate. You know, the church is a monster. Controlling women's rights and shit like that. Like just crazy, crazy shit. Even if you're not a Christian, you're still bound by their bullshit. I'm totally opposed to alcohol. I don't drink. It's gross. It's a bad thing. Here in Michigan, it used to be, and I know it's still like this throughout the in a lot of places, and some places it's even worse. But on Sunday mornings till 12, you weren't allowed to buy alcohol. Because, you know, it was the church day and all this other bullshit. It was against the law to buy alcohol on a Sunday. It was against the law for a store to sell you alcohol. I don't know when it started. Maybe it couldn't have been Saturday at 12 because they're still selling alcohol at the bars and shit. So I'm not sure what the window was, but it was against the law. And there are plenty of places in the country where it's dry, where you as an American don't have the same rights as other Americans to drink when you want to drink because of some Christian bullshit. That's unacceptable. Protect our religious freedom. Anytime you see somebody with a sign in their yard that says protect our religious freedom, you can guarantee it's a Christian who is being told they're not allowed to have superiority in one way or another, so they're mad about it. What do you mean you're taking under God out of the pledge? What do you mean? Well, what about all the people that don't believe in God? So, well, does it matter to you? Like, does it, if we don't say it, is it not implied? Is it not already there? Do you think God's going to get mad? Omniscient, all-powerful, all-knowing God, all this, that. You think he's really, they took the fucking God out of their Pledge of Allegiance? Oh, they're all going to die. You really think that way? You're probably one of those people that thinks Trump is working behind his desk, right? If you're watching, like, share, and sub. Take 2 seconds. Click the share button. Share it on Facebook. Share it that this guy's crazy. He's crazy. Somebody come tell him he's crazy. I can't. Do whatever you got to do to get the word out there. I would love to be hearing from, again, I say I want to see the comments, but the vast majority of them was just stupid shit. It's much more interesting that my comment section has been shut off. This literally, like, as crazy as it is, nobody's going to say anything that's more, you know, kind of shocking and should inspire some sort of question from you guys. How does that work? How does somebody's comment section get shut off from their perspective? We have to be looking at all of this. And just like the whole Ghislaine Maxwell, Robert Maxwell, Epstein, Israel, like we have to be talking about these things. This is the story. And to be honest with you, I'm at this weird place where I'm kind of freaking out a little bit. You know, the more you look into it, the scarier it becomes because you just realize like how obvious it all is. I'm not some super sleuth. I'm not some super detective who figured all these things out. I know how to hack the system and get into the back pages of this, that, and the other and read the codes and, you know, find the lost and stolen shits and blah blah blah. I'm like solely a surface guy. Whatever is on the surface that anybody can find, anybody can look at. That's why I use Wikipedia. I don't want it that I have to rely on some obscure source that nobody's heard of and all that shit. Wikipedia is the official. We all accept it as the official narrative. When you want to, you pretend like it's not a good source. But for the most part, we all sort of agree that it's the... Fuck, man. It's the standard. It's the bar. And the more you look into it, like... I mean, is it even possible? Is it possible for us to overcome this? They've managed to completely hide a fucking reset. And I don't know if you're there yet in your journey, but as you get to the Tartaria stuff, the thing about the conspiracy side of things is, unlike the official narrative that will constantly, the conspiracy things answers the questions. To the time, it's not even, it's like it's validating that other people are seeing the things that you saw. And yeah, I have more information on it, but you were already, you already saw it and were like, that didn't quite make sense. And when you lay out like with 9/11, it's a great example of it. When you lay out the official 9/11 narrative with what we saw, and you lay out the conspiracy 9/11 narrative with what we saw, the conspiracy one is the one that matches up. The conspiracy one is based off of what we saw, not what we were supposed to see. and you literally, like, it becomes embarrassing whoever believed submarines were real. Once you start actually looking into the shit, it just answers all of the questions that you have. Tartaria is probably, against Trump, one of the greatest distractions they've ever given us. Because Tartaria fits. Every time you see a building and you go, hey, that building is super old, and you find out that building was built in 17 this, 18 that, 19 whatever, and you go look into the history of that building, you're not going to find this, oh, that makes sense kind of history. You're going to find a narrative that don't make no sense. The Empire State Building is a great example of it. Built in just in either just over or just under 400 days. And I think that includes demolition. Does that include the demolition of the Waldorf Astoria that was there beforehand? Like, it doesn't matter when I say it was built. If I say it was built at the time, for the longest time, the largest skyscraper in the world, and it's incredibly ornate. Outside and in, it's just spectacular. And it's the only thing we build nowadays, anything even close. And it's something that will last at least 100 years or more. Whereas our skyscrapers won't do that. And again, you're not supposed to ask, like, how they heated those facilities. How did they maintain temperatures in those big buildings? It's not like there's heat registers everywhere. So how did they do that? Especially back before we had that shit. But you look into it, and if you hear the narrative for the Empire State Building, you read that it was built in just over 400 days, and you go, oh wow, that was incredible, and you just believe it, I don't really know how to jumpstart that brain. Like, think about what you're saying you believe. And it kind of sucks using the Empire State Building. The only reason it doesn't because it was the biggest, most prominent building. But there are countless buildings that are just incredibly huge mega structures, especially in Europe and shit, that are still around today, that happen to look just like the big mega structures here, the courthouses and the churches and all that. It's weird how that same design was in so many places around the world with people who didn't even fucking know each other. But you look at these huge fucking buildings and you just like, there's literally no way. Like, I can't imagine how we would do it. And then you read the narrative and they're like, yep, this building was built in a year. How? Before we had transportation, before we had cars and trucks and flatbeds and big giant cranes and power tools and electricity and all this, they're just, well, they're just, the whole world thing. The narrative behind within a year or two, they end up building this huge complex structures and basically an entire city, all of the greatest materials ever, and presumably is gonna last like the buildings that are still around today. It all looks the same, but apparently those were made of like mache and wood, and they were meant to be destroyed. They were built all within a year or two, and then they were built to be destroyed, except for the scattered buildings that are still around today. Those ones were built to last forever, same time, in the same time frame, surrounded by buildings that were meant to be destroyed. Like, it's all just incredibly stupid. It's insanely stupid. Jeez, now we're in full on shutdown. Jeez, now we're in full on shutdown mode. Down mode. We need to. Like, we're stupid. We're bad guys. We're evil because we ask questions. This narrative that you've given us is a terrible one. I mean, it's so simple. Go to any of you, wherever you live, there's a downtown near you. Go into that downtown and just look around. Look for buildings that aren't modern, clearly not modern buildings, and see if you can find any information on them. See if you can find out when the building was built or whatever. And then just look at it. Go find the oldest church in the downtown. And I guarantee you stand in front of it and you go, oh, how the fuck did they do that? That shouldn't be a thing. We should just be like, yeah, that makes sense. Look at that. Look at that. But not only is it how the fuck did they do that, you don't realize just how the fuck did they do that it is. Because most of you don't understand the time frame that you're given when this building supposedly was rebuilt because there was a fire that destroyed the original structure, and then they rebuilt this new one within a year. And of course, the picture, or if they did take a picture, or a handful of pictures, you can build up one side of the building and then they were going to build up the other side. That's not how buildings are constructed. You don't build one side then the other. You build from the ground up, all at the same time. there's clearly, you know, these people that control the narrative. You know, this is our great grandparents. This is all the people who, man, if this was only like 20 years ago, you would be talking to them and asking them a bunch of questions. But you can't. There's nobody left that was born in the 1800s. And even if your grandmother was born in 29, like my grandmother, you know, how much like the memories that you have from these times, I mean, it's very selective. You're seeing things through a kid's perspective. You're not noticing to pay attention. Look up like there are videos of people that were born in those times. Like there's this video of the Centuries Club from, I don't know when, it's really early, but these were the people born 100 years old, whatever. There are videos of people that talk about, what it was like to go to the World's Fairs and how incredible shit was. But I think, again, arrogance comes into play when people think there's no way Grammy lied to me if it's into play. You don't realize that these were the people who, they were told that you got to come in and get mass inoculations. People lined up around the street to get mass inoculations. These are the people like you don't want to think about it, especially with the bro and the dumb nonsense that is this generation. But this generation is a hell of a lot smarter than every generation before it. Our grandparents were super capable, no doubt. Seemingly much more capable than we are today. But from an intelligence perspective, from a information perspective, they knew a fraction of what the kids today know at the touch of their hand. And so the perspective that they had was much more easily adjusted. And when they were told, we don't talk about these things, we don't tell the next generations about these things, because if we do, then they'll be killed. You know how powerful the machine is. We attack guns, ultras, and all this other shit. You know that stuff. We showed you Kennedy, didn't we? We'll get your kids. We'll get your grandkids. We'll do all kinds of shit. Don't say anything. You're not going to override that programming. So many of your grandparents will tell you the story about how when they were kids, they would get an orange in their stockings. And you just think about and this was a really old thing too. How were they getting oranges in their stockings? All across the north, all across all these areas where it's super cold, where we don't have infrastructure, where we supposedly don't have, the transportation methods necessary. We're bringing in all these oranges from where and distributing them how? Just something simple like that. You just don't realize, the narrative is kind of goofy. How many of you know that in New York City and other cities, in the early 19s, late 18s, the mail was delivered through pneumatic tube systems? What? That they had pneumatic tube systems that could carry packages to people. You start looking into the pneumatic tube narrative, pneumatic tube narrative, and you're just gonna, you're going to find a bunch of fucking walls, but you're going to find a bunch of, holy shit, that seems weird. How about one of the greatest inventions known to man that you've never heard of, which is the linotype machine. The linotype machine, as far as historical importance goes, it's at the top of that list. You know, it's up there with cars, it's up there with telephones, it's the magical machine that allowed for newspapers to be able to be printed on a regular, consistent basis. And it's this magical machine that's like a foundry within itself that creates metal slugs and then melts them down and recycles them through so they could make the templates by which newspapers and shit were printed. And everything, this is how everything was printed from when the thing was just magically invented. These investors went to a German clockmaker, told them that they needed this machine to do this, the O, and then type, T-Y-P-E, linotype machine. They said they needed this. The German clockmaker fiddle-dee-dee, yada-dee-yada. And after his first prototype had successful results, after a few adjustments, the linotype machine was in every fucking publishing house all across the nation. What? That's not how stories work. How did he make this machine? This is such an incredible story, and good luck finding anything on it. Wikipedia and beyond, good fucking luck. You won't find shit. How about Cornelius Drebbel? Cornelius Drebbel is he should be up there with one of as one of the most famous people in all of history. Everyone should know who Cornelius Drebbel is. Cornelius Drebbel is the guy who invented the first submarine in 1620. 1620. You guys believe that, right? You guys believe that you could have a submarine in 1620. Cornelius Drebbel. He was born in 1572. Died November 7th, 16. Remember that, right? It's always funny to me when we have like precise details of characters from the 15, 13, 1200s and shit. And yet, there are people today where you can't find anything about them. But this guy's crazy, right? He was a Dutch engineer and inventor. He was the builder of the first operational submarine in 1620, and an innovator who contributed to the development of measurement and control systems, optics, and chemistry. Made the first submarine. And listen to this narrative. So this is go look up the guy Tal Hanan, the Team Jorge group that secretly controls social media with their system of bots. They can generate up to 30,000 bots at one time to attack or bolster or whatever. I've shown you guys multiple times, but I don't feel like going into it right now. If you want me to go into it, like, share, and sub. If you don't want me to and you want me to keep going, don't. Still like, share, and sub. But to think there are so many important people in history that we know nothing about, and yet this guy Listen to this in-depth biography we have of this guy who is this incredible character who none of you have even heard of. And tell me if this sounds real to you. Cornelius Drebbel was born in Alkmaar, Holland, in an Anabaptist family in 1572. After some years at the Latin school in Alkmaar, around 1587, he attended the academy in Haarlem, also located in North Holland. Because, you know, back then we had giant schools and you know, I mean, just think about what you think the 1500s look like. And tell me how this fits. Teachers at the academy. So not only do we get his biography, but we get a list of teachers at the academy. Drebbel became a skilled engraver on copperplate and also took an interest in alchemy, which used to be a thing, but nowadays you're crazy if you talk about it. In 1595, he married Sophia Jandoster Goltzius, sister of Henrik, which was one of his teachers, married the sister of one of his teachers, and settled at Alkmaar. They had at least 6 children, of whom 4 survived. Drebbel worked initially as a painter, engraver, and cartographer, but he was in constant need of money because of the profligate lifestyle of his wife. I don't know what that is. In 1598, he obtained a patent for a water supply system and a sort of perpetual clockwork. That's amazing. You would think like in our times, you're known for like if you invent something, it's like you invented this. Unless you're one of the characters, I guess. You could be a Steve Jobs who is credited with inventing a bunch of shit that like his whole team invented. Bill Barr does a great bit, or Bill Burr, I mean, does a great bit where he talks about, you know, him walking into the meeting and being like, all right, I want my entire music catalog in this thing right here. Like, it's just funny. I can't do it justice, so I'm not going to try. So he's made a water supply system, got a patent for it, and a perpetual clockwork. Perpetual, meaning it runs itself. In 1600, 2 years later, Drebbel was in Middelburg where he built a fountain at the Noorderpoort. So now he's building fountains. In that spectacle-making center, he may have picked up knowledge in the art of lens grinding and would later construct a magic lantern and a camera obscura. Oh, those are 2 really important historical inventions. I guess those are his too. Around 1604, the Drebbel family moved to England, probably at the invitation of the new king, James I of England, the 6th of Scotland. He was accommodated at Ethlem Palace. This guy was always broke, and yet kings always seemed to want to like house him in great palaces and shit like that. Really, really interesting. And you think about it again, like, what do you think travel was like in the 1500s, in the 1600s? What do you think the infrastructure was like that they could, you know, moving your entire family from one place to another back in the 1600s? They moved to England from Holland. I mean, I know these places are geographically close in the large scheme of things, but I'm thinking back then going 10 miles probably would have been quite the job, you know, quite the undertaking. Drebbel worked there at the masks, I don't know what this word is, masques. It's not mosques, it's masks, that were performed by and for the court. So these are like court jester plays and shit, I guess, the theater group, I guess. He was attached to the court of young Renaissance Crown Prince Henry. He astonished the courts with a demonstration of a perpetual motion machine, automatic and hydraulic organs, and his optical measurements. This guy had a perpetual motion machine in 1600. Those don't exist, apparently. But he was astonishing people. His fame went through the courts of Europe. In October 1610, Drebel and his family moved to Prague on invitation of the Roman German Emperor Rudolph II. So now they're moving from England to Prague. Again, if anybody can, or you can't tell me, but if anybody knows the distances between these places, by all means, let us know in the comments that I can't see, so other people can at least see it. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe England and Prague are like 2 miles away, and I'm just being stupid. Rudolph II, who was preoccupied with the arts, alchemy, and occult sciences. The German emperor. The fascination, the preoccupation with the occult and alchemy and all that stuff, it just went away. They were supposedly able to make all these crazy things, turn lead into gold, just all this insanity that most of you wouldn't believe, or you would think of it as some sort of fantasy. It's the actual historical narrative that they give us. All that went away. That fascination with all of that stuff went away. I lost a like. Somebody must not like me reading. Here again, Drebel demonstrated his inventions when in 1611 Rudolph was stripped of all effective power by his younger brother Archduke Matthias. Drebel was imprisoned for about a year, so now he's in prison. After Rudolph's death in 1612, Drebel was set free and went back to London in 1613. Unfortunately, his patron Prince Henry had also died, and Drebel was in financial trouble. Oh, yet again, he's broke. You'll hear this so frequently. This is the Tesla story, right? This is so many of these stories of these characters that aren't part of the chosen group that struggled, apparently, or even if they are part of the group, but they're part of the narrative that we're given. Like it's programming you, right? It's like, even if you do incredible things, you'll still be broke like this guy. You'll never be like us. This guy worked for the princes and all this other shit, but he was always in financial trouble. That's the second financial trouble that this biography of this man from fucking 1600s, we know this about this guy. They're talking about this guy like he's from the 80s. But we just know this in-depth story of him moving from here and there. At one point, we're going to find out that he was offered a job that he turned down. Like, for some reason, that's in this narrative of his. It's almost like it's a fake narrative. It's almost like they're just creating history so we have something to look at. So they can explain away inventions and shit. How did this get here? Oh, well, this guy just invented it. With his... And also, this guy is like... He's able to do shit nobody else is able to do, and yet he's still broke. With his glass grinding machine, he manufactured optical instruments and compound microscopes with 2 convex lenses for which there was a constant demand, yet he's still broke. And he invented this microscope. So now we have another invention. At the request of the Roman German Emperor Ferdinand II, so now he's again going to be in the royal position. In 1619, he went to Prague again to tutor his sons and was taken prisoner after the Battle of White Mountain and the capture of Prague in 1620, where he also lost his fortune. In 1622, Constantin Huygens stayed as a diplomat for more than 1 year in England. And this is the guy who is credited with inventing the telescope. Again, another person you don't know of. But this guy credits his work to Drebel. It is quite possible that he learned the art of glass grinding at this time from Drebel, and that he passed this knowledge to his second son, Christian Huygens, who became a prominent Dutch mathematician and scientist. The English natural philosopher Robert Hooke may have learned the art of glass. It's all attached to this guy. I can't believe I'm reading this all right now, but I'm almost done. Oh man, the comments have been shut off since the 20-minute mark, but it was such a good feed I couldn't let it go. Constructions and innovations cover measurement and control technology, pneumatics, optics, chemistry, hydraulics, and pyrotechnics. He registered several patents with the Dutch Staten Generaal. He also wrote essays about his experiments with air pressure and made beautiful engravings, including the seven liberal arts on a map of the city of Alkmaar. For a insanely busy guy, he was broke all the time, I guess. He was also involved in making theater props, moving statues, and in plans to build a new theater in. He worked on producing torpedoes, glass and tears, on fomenting gold as an explosive. He was known for his perpetual mobile, built an incubator for eggs, and a portable stove oven with an optimal use of fuel, able to keep the heat on a constant temperature by means of a regulator or thermostat. You understand what this is saying? This guy invented thermostats. This guy invented portable stoves that could use it. He invented an incubator for eggs. He invented torpedoes, naval mines, Bavarian tears. You know, just listen to this list of things this guy is known for. He designed a solar energy system for London, perpetual fire, demonstrated air conditioning, made lightning and thunder, quote, on command, and developed fountains and a fresh water supply for the city of Middelburg. One dude. It's crazy how people don't like learning, right? The numbers are falling because I'm telling you about easily what should be the most incredible man in history. Like, I just can't imagine who could be more fascinating than this guy. This guy could make it lightning and thunder on command. This guy invented air conditioning. He had a solar energy system for London called perpetual fire that it's not blue, so I can't look into it. Am I really to believe that people have been here this whole time and start reading about the most fascinating man in history and everybody's like, learning? That's just weird. Why doesn't anybody want to know about this? He was involved in the draining of the moors around Cambridge, the fens, so draining of water. Developed predecessors of the barometer and thermometer. and harpsichords that played on solar energy. Guys, this is like, who the fuck are we talking about here? Drebel's most famous work was En Court, a short treatise on the nature of the elements, Haarlem, 1621. He was also involved in the invention of mercury fulminate, which is explosives, I believe. He also discovered that mixtures of spiritus vini, which we don't know what that is, with mercury and silver in aqua fortis could explode. He also demonstrated a working air conditioning. Going to be a great manufacturer, would make wine and grape jelly and purple coloring and, like, you know what I mean? Like, that would be at least somewhat more feasible. But this guy is across all over the place. Fountains, thermometers, incubators, stoves, air conditioners. Also a fantastic artist doing engravings. Like, it's just insane. The story goes, while making a colored liquid for a thermometer, Cornelius dropped a flask of aqua regina on a tin windowsill and discovered that stannous chloride made the color of carmine much brighter and more durable. Who cares? Drebel is credited with developing an automatic precision lens grinding machine. They're just going to skip over that. An automatic precision lens grinding machine. You know, you ever wonder how people saw before glasses? Like, did we not have bad eyes back in the day? Is this a newer thing? What did people just have glasses? Who made glasses? How did they make glasses? Machine that he invented in the 1500s. Don't bother asking where the fucking glass and shit comes from, though. Where'd they get all this glass from? What supply of sand did they have? He improved telescopes, the first compound microscope, the camera obscura, lantern magica, and Dutch variant. All of these things. You don't know who he is. All right, here's what we came here for. Here's a painting of the first navigable submarine from unknown author, unknown anything, but somebody painted that to mark this occasion. Look at that big giant church in the background. Who the fuck built that? I guess if they can make submarines, they can make that thing though, right? But wait, that looks more like a rowboat, right? That's what you're saying? Okay, so let's figure it out. He also built the first navigable submarine in 1620 while working for the English Royal Navy. He manufactured a steerable submarine with a leather-covered wooden frame. Between 1620 and 1624, he built and tested two more submarines. The final third model had 6 oars and could carry 16 passengers. This model was demonstrated to King James I in person and several thousand Londoners. The submarine stayed submerged for 3 hours and could travel from Westminster to Greenwich and back, cruising at a depth of between 12 and 15 feet. Why don't you know who this guy is? Even took King James in the submarine on a test drive beneath the Thames, making King James the first monarch to travel underwater. The submarine was tested many times in the Thames, but it failed to attract enough enthusiasm from the Admiralty and was never used in combat. So they had a means of traveling undetected underwater, being able to move at least 16 passengers. I mean, again, once you assume like the Admiralty gets involved, then it's probably going to have a bunch more engineering, because back then apparently everything was like it is today. But the military of the time didn't see any value in a thing that allowed them to secretly travel underwater. And so for another 100 years, nobody fucked with submarines. And then 100 years later, somehow, someone was looking on their version of the internet and found Drebel stuff and then improved on it, but failed. And then some more shit happened, but they failed. And then some more shit happened, but they failed. Like, do you understand how insane our historical narrative is? And yet, you know, you have the audacity to come in here and call me crazy because you're some dumbass who's really good at fucking, you know, Angry Birds and somehow thinks you know more about shit than I do. It's insane. It's just insane how arrogant and stupid people are. Do I believe that Cornelius Drebbel did all these things because I read it on Wikipedia? No. Do I think that it's the narrative that they, especially Israel, wants us to know? 100%. And that's what matters. What they want us to know, we should be looking at and asking questions about. Most of you just don't even understand. You're so arrogant, you think you know more about submarines, and you've never even looked them up. Good morning. You've never looked up anything that has to do with it. You watched a movie or something, or submarines have been in everything for a very long time, so you just assume that's what it is. It's time, guys. It's fucking time. It's time we realize how much better we are than what they allow us to be. These feeds where there's no interference and I just get to go, it's always interesting how these go, because I think they're a lot more informative because I don't get distracted by bullshit, but at the same time it's kind of boring. You know, it's not nearly as fun as I want to be proven wrong. I want to hear what I want to hear what you have to say. I want to see like your best, and I want to know where you get your information from and why you believe what you believe and all that stuff. These are all the same things that like I would expect you to ask of me and hope that I deliver so you don't even have to ask. But if you do, it's never going to be like, oh, why'd you ask that question? Oh, I'm not going to answer it. I can answer for everything else. I just can't answer that. I don't know. We'll see if it even lets this upload. A lot of times when it's this many fucking views and shit, they just kill it from the beginning. So, especially when the comments have been shut off since before the 20-minute mark. Anyway, go get your free download. www.the-bilderberg, bilderberg-group.com. It's free. Listen to. All we ask is that you share it with somebody. I should have been having it playing in the background the whole time, but it's distracting. It's so good, it's distracting, so I end up listening to it and I get distracted. But it's free. It's going to ask you how much you want to pay. Say zero, you don't want to pay anything. Or donate, because it's really appreciated if you do. or when you do, because some of you do, and we appreciate it. I'm going to leave you with a link to the movie Hollywoodism, which is the most important film ever made. It tells you everything you need to know. It gives you all of the information. And the best part is, it's not some dumbass on YouTube. It's them. They made the movie. At one point, a lady, one of the descendants of the founders of Hollywood, says, in a sense, you could say the American dream is the Jewish dream. It's a flex. That movie is a flex. It's all about how badass they are, and look what they were able to accomplish. And look how they used Hollywood to create the reality, the American worldwide reality that they want. And when you watch that, and then you look at the news, and you look at everything going on right now, and seemingly who controls this country, it all makes a lot more sense. You know, for those of you who are wondering, like, what the hell's going on? None of this makes any sense, blah, 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 blah. Just go watch Hollywoodism. It'll answer all of your questions. And again, it's their movie. They made it, not me. I'm going to leave you with 3 links to our Facebook page, where you can check out the music videos for Donald Trump Hates America, COVID Sauce, and Sleight of Hand Job. Of course, like, share, and sub those videos. Like, share, and sub this video. Do all that good stuff. Have yourself a fantastic day. And the most important thing I ever say has to do with the fact that the laws are the way they are, and we can't do anything about it. So I'm begging and pleading with you, for once in your life, just do one good thing in your life. And pedophiles, kill yourself.